you my story about what I see in the very, very important part of the society, the transportation system. And based on that, I will give you my thoughts about what is important for the future and how do we need to plan for the future societies and the future cities. I will start with some kind of history. The main message, my first main message, is that we always over-invest in the past technology. We are trying to be leaning to the future to secure the future growth, but we have never really succeeded. My first example is mankind was very good at learning about ships, boats, and so on. So we really started off with a very successful the Hansa Port, where we connected cities in Europe, and we built cities around those important ports, and they were very successful. And we created welfare based on that. And also that was expanded to other areas. And so, I mean, ship and the industry and the business related to that was very, very important. And we have Bergen here in Norway, but I mean the Northern Europe, and we have other examples around the globe. And the sea was so important, so we digged the sea into the land and built. We invested in channels in Europe, lots of channels. In Asia and the United States as well. Not that much in Norway, but in Sweden we have the Göta Canal, huge project, to really bring the ship into the land. And there were new cities built along that. But when the channel was done, completed, it was too late, because we had the train technology coming, and that was even more successful. So we invested in train and railroads a lot. So again, Sweden, today we're using less than half of all rail roads which was invested in, because we overinvested. And that was done also all over. But we created lots of cities in the crossings in between different railroads. But as you know, what happened? Well, we have the car industry coming up, and we invested in lots of new asphalt roads, and we created new cities where those roads were crossing, and we still are. We still believe that the future is based on asphalt. If you wake someone, a politician, in the middle of the night, say, "Hi, we have a financial crisis. What should we do to secure the future growth of Norway?" We have to build some new roads. That is what he would say, because that's what he's trained to say. And why? Why is that? Yeah, for all these kinds of technology, we create an ecosystem with lots of organizations, and they're all winners. We have commercial players, huge commercial players. We have public authorities, we have politicians, we have unions. Everyone says, "Wow, more road, more asphalt, that's good, that's good." And in the past it was channels, and in the past it was railroads. So we always over-invest, and we never learn. So what is really the future? The future society, what should we do? If we don't believe that really to subsidize commuter trips by tax deduction, asphalt road is the right thing to do, which we're doing right now, because we have been trained that that is smart. Well, I mean, it's obvious that the digital economy is the future. The digital infrastructure is where we are developing the growth for the future. And this is not new, but many people don't see it yet. But this is going really fast. And we know, I mean, when did you visit your bank last time? Well, maybe a long time ago. So that industry, maybe the banking, was the first one really changing the whole way they're organized to a new setting. You don't need to go there. You have better service, you have reliable service, and so on. Exactly the same thing has happened in media. And it's happening in e-commerce. And it's happening in e-health, or smart health services. When new hospitals today are constructed, they are constructed in a completely different way. Because people is going to be treated in their homes much more. And they will be much more efficiency in how a doctor is monitor the status of their patients, and much less transport is needed, and so on. So it's much more cost efficient as in all other industries. And the same is for smart public services or whatever. All industries are now changing the way they're organized. And if they don't, they won't remain. The brands will disappear, or there are some good examples of that. Kodak, blah, 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 blah. A number of brands has already disappeared because they didn't change. And also the way we are working. So I don't have an office. I have my computer. My boss doesn't really care about when I'm working or where I work. Because the way I'm managed by my manager is completely different. And that is going to change as well. So as long as I produce according to expectation, he don't care, because he know the value I bring to my company is not based on how many hours I'm working or where I am. So he's happy about whatever I do as long as I deliver potentially more than he expects. And that is, it's not me just. That is going to change the daily life for most of us. And this is going fast, really, really fast. And new business models are implementing, information service provider and so on. And really a large number of new companies are established. Google didn't exist 9 years ago. Today they have a turnover of much more than all paper media in the United States. And that is fast. And that is just one example. And this is not based on asphalt, is it? No. And you could almost say the opposite. This new kind of technology is as best when there is no asphalt. Because then you need to do something differently. So that is the environment where you really can make use of this new technology. So this is the future. I think this is obvious for most of us when we really think of it. So how would this change of the society, and how would this change of all industry, which is the society as a whole? How would that change the way we are traveling? Well, again, think of how new technology has changed our work, or what we're doing and how we're doing things in the history. New technology has reduced things we don't want. Dangerous workplace, things which is boring or whatever, has been changed, taken away by machines or computers. So we have the more qualified work left, the one we really would like to have and can't easily be replaced. And that is exactly what's going to happen also in the transport. So in the future, we are going to focus on the trips we really enjoy, not the rest one. And today, a majority of the personal trips we are doing, we do because we are forced to do them, not because we enjoy them. So this is the view the planners really need to have, but that's not what they have in their mind. Because still, if you have a look at the Norwegian transport plan, it's really based on the human right and the transport demand based on demographic and socioeconomic facts. And then the decision is more how much of this need is going to be managed by asphalt road or public transport. The dynamics in the future, which is based on the new society, is not there at all. And we are investing in the infrastructure for the next 60 years. Okay, so do I have any proof on this? Well, I could mention a project I've been responsible for myself, is the Stockholm Congestion Charges project, where we invested in a system similar to what we have in Norway, where we have a differentiated charges to make people consider the need of really going by car to downtown areas in peak hours, to give them an incentive. Do you really need this? Well, then pay a small amount of money. If you don't, consider that. And by having that small charge, giving that an incentive, it reduced the number of car trips to Stockholm downtown area by 100,000 daily trips. Less than half of those trips become public transport trips. The rest, woof, gone. It wasn't that important. I could do that journey together with the other one, or my wife could do that, or we do that next week, or whatever. A large amount of small changes in decision took away 50,000 daily car trips to downtown area in peak hours. Not with the largest infrastructure project, you could really offload the city in the same way. So, physical mobility is more like, in the urban area, it's more like some kind of consumer products, where you have lots of cross-elasticity in your behavior. And not even researchers are aware of this, which is amazing. So, what would be a good guideline for the future society? Well, physical transport for personal use will be more some kind of pleasure. We will focus on the ones we really would like to have, and they will be very sensitive for incentives, as the society in a whole will offer so much flexibility. So, the politics will focus on a new generation of incentives where we really consider, is it smart to subsidize commuter trips by car in peak hours? Or should we subsidize something different, which is good for the society? Maybe we should differentiate the user charges for all modes of transport to give a good and fair incentive, because that will also increase the use of the existing infrastructure a lot. And I'm not talking about 20%, maybe 10 times. Because if you really validate the use of the existing infrastructure, even though we say, wow, it's so much traffic, if you really look how, if that is right, it is never right, to be honest. And we have to consider the space efficiency in urban areas. So we can do a lot with the infrastructure we have, given the change of the society we can see. And my final remark is that Norway is really a society where we have the right circumstances to be a global frontrunner in this transformation from where we are to where we need to go, anyhow, because Norway, with the topography we have, is not made for nor channels, railroads, or asphalt roads. We are made for the digital society. So we should really go into this and be a showcase for the rest of the world as fast as possible, and to change the policy and to take away everything which is a hinder for that transformation. That was my speak of today.